This conference will now be recorded.
All right, let's call to order the Monterey Select Board. It's June 2nd at 6 p.m. And we have all three members of the board present here in Town Hall, Susan Cooper, Ken Basler, and myself, Justin Maycook. And the first order of business is a couple of grants. Thanks, Dennis. Thank you, Mark, for being here. And why don't we get into the Lake Buel watershed grant first?
Sure.
Dennis, you wanna explain
Sure.
what the grant is?
Yeah, the Mass Department of Environmental Protection has a funding opportunity for what is called a 9-element watershed-based plan. They're proposing to award two lakes that have impairments on a state list of impaired lakes. And for example, Lake Garfield had a watershed-based plan prepared for the 319 grant on Buel Road. You had to have that grant preceded by the watershed-based plan. So Lake Buel having been tested by LAPA in a 5-year period of tests, they qualify to be considered for funding to develop a watershed-based plan. It's a separate watershed than Lake Garfield.
What's the impairment?
Impairment is a federal term, and there's a list of so-called impairments, which would include low dissolved oxygen. It would include invasive aquatic species such as Eurasian water milfoil, and there's one or two other ones, but that's basically what the impairment is, and they focus on specifically phosphorus for the modeling that they will do for this watershed-based plan.
Well, I think it's a good thing, and we do a lot for Lake Garfield, so I think it's the least we can do to go across town and try to help Lake Buel in a small way.
Yeah, and
How much is the max?
there's no local match, but
No,
they,
the max, how much is the grant?
we have forced estimates between 15 and 20,000.
Okay.
The maximum match, or the maximum amount of funding could be provided for the grant is $250,000.
Oh, okay.
So we're well in that, but we'd have to go out to, I guess, competitive bidding or something like that.
250K.
Well, I think the Dubai Road project was in that neighborhood. I think it was north of 200.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So what, they have a caveat, they say no local match, but if you would like to contribute, you get priority points.
Of course.
Some small amount, which I suppose we could.
$100.
And the application is, has been submitted, so we're on the, in the queue, so to speak.
And so it's to assess sources of phosphorus and then come up with a plan for how to remediate?
Yeah,
Or
that'd
how
be
to reduce
similar
influx?
to the current plan that the town has for Lake Garfield.
Okay.
You know, they use phosphorus as the leading impairment. And they have a model, and they'll model it for what could be done or how much should be done to reduce the loading of phosphorus into the lake.
Cool. Thanks, Dennis.
And thank you to the Prudential Committee as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you all,
Yeah,
appreciate it.
This grant will set us up for more grants down the road to do mediation.
It could,
Does it tie us into any mediation?
it would actually set us up for a subsequent 319 grant, for example, or there's another section, that's a section of the Clean Water Act. There's another section that you can also apply for, which is no local match required. It's called a 604B grant.
that would allow us to do what?
that gets you to do preliminary design for the 319 grant. And then you turn around and say, this is my 604 submission, I got funding, and you use that to get the 319.
Which lets you do remediation.
Yes, similar to what was done in Lake Garfield. It could. We'll have to see what the plan says.
Right.
All good?
And this is the form for Dennis to do the work.
It's the attached letter of support.
No, we don't have an attached, it says attached letter of support, there's no letter of support for that one. You did this.
Right, for that one.
Yeah.
We have it for the second.
Okay.
And as I said, it's a good partnership between the town and the provincial committee for Lake Garfield. So it's a partnership that they'll see in the application.
Thank you. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Enjoy.
Stay off those ladders.
Yeah.
So also, Dennis, it's my understanding you're doing an ADA grant for town hall?
Yeah, it's our second try to get compliance for town hall on the north side of the building here, to have ADA compliant ramp purchased and installed. The current ramp, well, it's not a ramp, it's stairs, basically. 3 or 4 steps, and you're up onto a platform, and then you come in through the door. So the cost estimates, we have 2 cost estimates, one in 25 and the current one in the $15,000 to $20,000 range. And this is the one where they'll say, well, you know, if you provide a little bit of a match, you'll be considered, you know, get you more points on the grant application.
How much do they need?
Well, it's undefined. It's up to the applicant, you know, to say if it's $15,000 or $20,000, if the town said between 500 and 1,000,
So-
something in that neighborhood, give or take.
We do have a special article to fund maintenance and I think maybe repairs to town hall, so potentially we could consider this maintenance to town hall.
That's good.
I forget what's in there, $30,000 is still in there.
So putting 1,000 towards it to see the pot wouldn't be terrible.
Yep.
Since without it, we'd have to pay for it ourselves.
I'll work with Roger and get that information into the grant application. And that's due June 12th. And there were a couple of things that the first time around we needed to correct. And we've done so, and we should be better. And we've had conversation with the coordinator of that funding agency, Municipal Office of Disabilities, I believe it's called, MOD. So hopefully it'll work out better the second time around.
Yeah, and so this is again, the form for Dennis to do work, and the second page is actually a letter of support. Yeah.
I mean, technically, they can come in the door and go in the elevator, but
They can, but the problem that we had when I first started was that the elevator was out of service, and so it's just kind
and
of.
if there's a power out, there's no good exit.
Yeah. So, but that was really one of the reasons, a reason for having it done.
I was just thinking that it might be worthwhile mentioning that while there is current access for handicap, it relies on there being power.
Yeah,
Has someone looked at it? I mean, how are you determining the budget? It seems low, that's all.
yeah, well,
given the amount of slope they have to do, even those 2 or 3 steps.
Right, so we have those two as estimates,
You do have estimates from the contractor?
yes.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully, I mean, we have to go out to bid on it, so, or get 3 quotes, I did 3 quotes, yeah, 3 quotes, yeah.
And it came out of, like, it came out of you being here, but also the ADA compliance study they did.
Yes,
What was it, 3 years
Yeah.
ago?
there was a evaluation and a transition plan.
Right,
And the transition plan mentioned that particular point, among others,
right.
in various town structures, as a priority, top priority.
I remember that. But I didn't remember when it was.
Like 2 or 3 years ago,
Yeah, I think it,
maybe even more.
it might have been more. Didn't we start that during COVID?
We had, we finished it when I first started.
Okay.
It finished, because that was the end, it had to do with the open recreation.
Oh, yeah, the open space.
Right.
It had to do with
Open
the
space plan.
recreation.
Right,
plan.
right.
It was the end of that, we had to finish that, and that's where we started, we did the initial assessment of the town, and tried to get a grant at the end of that.
Yeah.
And that's where it kind of,
Okay,
we didn't get it from there.
thanks for clarifying.
Well, thank you, Dennis. Let us know if
Thank you.
there's anything else you.
Thanks, Dennis.
The last grant, I just wanna call your attention is the Beaver Deceiver grant. So we did receive a grant for the Beaver Deceiver. And actually, I think the project's gonna come in under budget.
That's what they're saying.
Um,
They gave us, it was through the Massachusetts Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. The grant is courtesy of the Nyan Robert Thoreau Terriot Foundation. And it was for $6,000 is a grant allocation. And without, the estimate without maintenance was $6,550. They gave $6,000, we have to come up with $550, but it sounds like it might be under budget at
I
this
think
point.
because the original estimate included 2 options,
Yeah.
and it was really an either or, not a both.
Yeah, and there was a maintenance plan that they don't cover a maintenance plan or
Right.
anything like that.
That's fair.
So
I mean,
that,
pretty nice, generous grant to start with.
and that's and that actual invoicing relationship is between the installer and the MSPCA. the
Right.
People, so they just send the invoice right to them and they take care of it.
Find the email from others here.
The next item on the agenda is the special town meeting, so they're hoping to approve the school budget, as I understand it, tomorrow. So we need to do a little bit of reworking our schedule. And I reached out to the town clerk and the moderator about meeting times, and I think there was generally a preference for weekday evening special town meetings, if possible. Rather than the Saturdays special town meetings that we've been doing for the last couple of years. So, we were planning on the 27th of June, which we could still do if they approve the budget tomorrow, but we would need to have another select board meeting. Either later this week or sometime next week.
I mean, if we're just having the meeting to come in and sign that thing, I don't see that should stop us from.
Dave, have you heard if there's any changes in the budget, what they're proposing, or does anybody know anything?
So they did 22, I believe it was 22 layoffs, but 5 of them were attrition, right? So it was closer to 15 or 16. And there was a breakdown between staff and teachers and,
I saw that, they sent out something today. So, yeah.
And then they got the E&D money. I mean, just what Mari was saying today, it's a little frustrating, right? They couldn't have known, but they got the E&D monies
While
like
ago.
2, yes, but, well, not that long ago, only like 2 days after they sent the pink slip.
Right,
Right, but the way the union contract works, from what I understand, it means that anyone they let go, they can't just rehire them, the people have to reapply.
yeah, that's what,
Which, and it's not clear what it does to their, what it, length of,
Benefits and less.
no, the
retirements and stuff.
length, the length of
Length of
service, right? So it's really,
Shouldn't affect that. Okay.
I don't think it should, but apparently according to Murray, it may from the union contract, and I feel like they should have just held off just a little bit longer, because that's a nightmare for those employees, and it's not fun for anybody. It means they have to go through the whole process of rehiring. It's,
Well, the other problem that they face is that those employees will also be looking for other jobs,
yeah,
so.
they may choose not to, and I couldn't blame them. But anyway, so,
Do we wanna meet,
I
later?
guess my question was, is the number that they're presenting basically the same number that they've been talking about in terms of covering, or is it, I mean, are they talking about, no one knows.
As I understand, it was based on that 6%
Six, is still based on that, okay.
assessment for the towns, which is
Yeah.
more or less depending on the town, but they're meeting tomorrow, they can still make changes tomorrow, so nothing's finalized.
So has any of the towns talked about just saying no and and forcing them into a 12, or, a monthly thing until they come up with a budget?
I haven't heard of
No.
that. I mean, I know that several of the towns even feel that this increases a lot for them.
who besides Sheffield was,
Well, Sheffield has been the most vocal, but I think there's people, sorry, I shouldn't say several other towns, but I think there's people, right,
there's a lot of
That-
people who are
that don't-
frustrated, right, yeah.
want to pay more. And there's people that would rather pay more, and we struggle with the same thing at the town level, but.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
So, okay,
we need to wait, basically what we should do is schedule a meeting for later this week or early next. And decide if we wanna keep Saturday the 27th as our special town meeting date.
Well, what else would you use? You can't go into, would you,
We could go earlier,
go earlier, okay.
we could go a little bit later.
how would earlier help us, like, if there's no
The
budget
town clerk
yet?
and the moderator didn't really prefer Saturday.
Right, but going
Meetings and
earlier is
calls.
we need 14 days for an STM.
We could go earlier, like if the budget's finalized tomorrow
Right,
and we have a meeting on Friday, it could be as early
Is
as
it 24?
Friday the 19th or Monday the 22nd, Tuesday the 23rd.
Really,
any
can
of
we
the-
get the warrant out?
It just
In
needs to be
time for
posted,
19th?
so all it needs to happen is Julio needs to post it
On the 5th, to do the 19th.
14 days before whatever the meeting is.
Right.
So I'm actually not really a proponent of the 19th, but looking at that week of the 22nd to the 26th, if we wanna return to weekday evening special town meetings, or we could go on Monday the 29th.
I think weeknights are fine, I mean, for this,
Yeah.
because there's really no issue unless there's a real major change tomorrow night that raises all kinds of questions.
I mean, there are lots of questions, but at the end of the day, we
But
have to
there's not
vote.
much, there's also
Yes.
not much we can do.
So,
I mean, if we went with Monday the 29th, it gives us the maximum possible time in case they don't have a budget.
at that case, we still need to have a meeting because our meeting on the 16th won't quite be in time, unfortunately.
Well, we could meet on the 15th, or, yeah, I see your point.
So we can, here's one option, we could meet on a Tuesday, on next Tuesday, then,
We could
and that could
post a
even be
meeting
quick.
for the 9th for that, and if there's still no budget,
Mhm.
then we postpone the meeting till
Yeah, that's
whenever,
good.
I don't know, to the 16th. We couldn't do the 29th, but we could do the 30th instead of the select board meeting.
Alright, so the first item is, we're gonna plan on a short select board meeting on Tuesday, June 9th at 6 P.M. And I think we'll have a limited agenda focused on signing the warrant. Second item, when to have the meeting.
If we do the 30th, it's annoying because it's instead of our meeting, right? But it would allow us to not have to have a special meeting. We could have it on the 16th and still, or could we? It'd be hard for Julio. to
No, we
post it
couldn't,
that day,
we wouldn't
right?
wanna do that. It's a thought, but I don't think.
No,
yeah,
it's not
I
a
don't
good
think
thought,
we-
forget it. It's a bad thought.
What was the preference? The preference was a Friday night?
The preference was basically, probably when you were on the board, Ken, it was always weekday evening,
evening,
so special town meetings.
Yeah.
And because of COVID, we had to do the pavilion, and you can't do a evening meeting in the pavilion, so we made them Saturday in the middle of the day. And I think the town clerk and the moderator and probably several other people in town don't really wanna be at a special town meeting
Well, especially June,
Mhm.
weather's changing and everything else.
in the middle of the day, and it's Saturday in June, when there's probably graduations and weddings
Right.
and outdoor events, there's probably, so if,
With most of the budget already set, does it matter if it's the first?
I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
Why don't we just do,
24?
why don't we do like the Wednesday, the 24th, or Thursday, the 25th, or
Okay,
something of that.
either one works for me.
Thursday, the 25th gives us a little bit of time to hit that 14-day mark.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Sounds
Thursday,
good.
the 25th, and, should we say it's at 6 PM?
Any, public in
I agree
thoughts?
with that.
6 P M?
I agree with the Thursday, because
Okay.
the next week is the 4th of July, a lot of people are away.
Awesome. Okay. Moving right on.
So just make sure I double check. So that means we gotta get it posted on the 11th, right?
Yeah. So we just need to have Julio ready,
Yep.
but it still gives us,
Where are we gonna have it?
the fire station is available, or we could do it here, or the library meeting room.
Do we
Probably
think
this
there'll be
is
that
too
few
small.
people? Yeah, I think this is too small. The library holds what, like 35? 60? And the library,
About 70,
70.
60, 70, that could be,
So I think plan A would be the fire station, and plan B would be the library. If for some reason the fire station's not available. Okay, and I'll let the moderator and the town clerk.
I would have
And I'll
to
send
check.
an email to the fire chief.
Yeah, I never heard back from him about the Saturday, but I assume no news is good news.
Double check. Thursday the 10th.
I'm gonna adopt that. Oh, on the budget that I got, the printout of the budget, there was no totals. We not doing totals on it? In other words, combining both the towns along with the school, so that people understand that there's the total amount?
That draft, it did have the total on the bottom.
Okay,
I didn't
it's
see
confused,
it
okay.
there.
then
Yeah,
I
so there was basically two little spreadsheets, two little spreadsheets there. The
Yeah.
top one was for the school.
Yeah.
And then the, let me find it.
I guess someone should actually write up.
Total operating budget, but the numbers aren't in the
No,
bottom
they're not.
because we don't have numbers from the school, so you can't add,
Okay.
so we can get a real
So
number.
once we have the numbers, they'll go into the, okay.
Yes. Can I-
That's all I was asking.
Can I say something? I don't think it's valuable to separate departmental versus debt services versus miscellaneous.
Yeah, what is departmental operating total?
It's everything other than debt services and miscellaneous.
Okay, just do total operating budget, I think. Yeah, at this point, why would we?
If I were to separate it like that, I would separate everything except for school. Because a lot of miscellaneous is,
We've already covered all this. I mean, all those have already been dealt with, so there's no reason to have them in there right now, except for the total.
Yeah.
Just-
Yeah. Let me just make sure I agree.
but I think a lot of towns separate out the school from the rest, right?
Yes, and that's what we're doing.
So what exactly are you saying here?
I don't see the value in the three subcategories,
Three
departmental,
lines
debt services, and
above total.
miscellaneous.
The question is, do we want, so if we would either
So-
just have, skip the line, well, these
Just
three
town budget.
lines. And just have the total budget,
Yeah,
or we
budget.
could have one number.
Well,
that
what I
was
would actually,
everything except the.
that's what I would do actually, right? Because if it's everything except for the school,
Yes,
the non-school town operating budget, including debt service, including miscellaneous,
as a total,
like what we approved at the annual town
Amount
meeting.
already approved at town meeting.
yes, yeah.
And then plus the school, and then that gives you, I think a more clear picture.
So you're gonna have to explain this to me again.
So
So where it says department operating total,
instead of these three, these three.
Yeah.
These three go away.
okay,
And instead you have one line.
Yep.
That has the amount that was passed at special town.
so the total operating budget.
The total operating budget except for the school. The total operating.
Oh,
This
here.
would be the total operating
Oh,
budget.
I get you.
This line, instead of
So
those
instead of
three, you
three,
have
it's-
one line that was the amount voted for at town meeting already. Right, so that this, whatever this number is, plus that
I get you.
would be the actual total.
Did we make any changes? We did, because I made a few of them.
Yeah.
We made some changes at,
So it's not the number from the warrant, it's the
it's not the number
from
from the warrant, it's the number from the minutes, but I gotta tell you, and it's not a discredit at all to our town clerk, because I see it in all towns. The town clerks don't usually, and maybe she did in this case, actually update the spreadsheet.
No, she didn't.
So-
It just comes at the bottom.
You're gonna have to do that.
I already saw that when I was working on this.
But that will, in the end, it'll be helpful, but though we don't think those three lines are in any way useful, they're just distracting and confusing. I was confused by them, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Will somebody be doing a cover letter?
What is there to say?
Well, I
If
mean,
there is-
a lot of people aren't following it.
I think if there is, it should, we could ask the school committee
Yes,
to really explain. Mickey Jervis.
Yeah, I think that we should have some information, whether from you or from the school, what impact letting off these teachers means. And I think that should be a clear explanation, and if they are eliminating things subjects that were taught before, and why are they eliminating those? I'd like to see that.
is our school committee representative capable of doing that?
I would like to see someone from the school administration do that.
Good, okay,
Well, the school administration made the layoffs without consulting the
perfect,
school.
Right.
perfect. So we would like a letter, yeah, that's perfect.
Because I might vote it down if I think they eliminated too many teachers.
Do you like chorus?
Fine.
Do you like a chorus choral program? There's no,
I
there's
think-
no choral program.
No, I think there are certain things that are just important to have. You know, I see things that are taught in the Richmond school, because I get information from there. And, you know, they have a choral group, they have band, they have things that, in their art, kindergarten is learning about various artists and translating into things that they produce, at 5 years old. So these things are important, and to take them out, to take arts out.
The problem with this is that there hasn't been a real development of a budget, and it's all piecemeal, so
Yeah, I know.
no one really knows. I mean, I think, well, Kevin Fish had an interesting article in the newspaper today about the need for really looking at the budget, and if it's gonna be more, we have to really figure this out. We have to, pay the piper in terms of providing good education, but we can't do it without knowing the information.
It's a little unclear how this process, what
Absolutely.
they've actually been doing
I
all
get
this
really
time.
chills when I think of 6%. I mean, just the number, just talking about a number, let's do 6%.
But what does it represent?
Exactly.
I mean, and
That's
how
what
did they
I'm saying.
come to that?
No.
And it just, the whole
And at the
process.
same time, they
is-
talked about 12% at one point, so I mean, what is going on? That's why I think,
And they at one point offered to send someone, and we said, given that we weren't voting on it, it didn't make sense. But I think it,
Yeah, that was for the annual
right,
meeting,
but at
for
this
the
point, I
special
think
one.
it would be smart
this one.
for them to, like, Dr. Rick, if we can get him, but
If no one else has a meeting the same night.
Well,
Or-
he's gonna make if he at least have something going on, he's gonna make every effort to make every one of these meetings, because, this is his budget, and he's gotta get it passed. gonna
right,
be fine, yeah.
and, but I think that we're owed an explanation of what this is, budget's going to do to the program, and possibly how they arrived at this, like, I mean, I agree.
Okay, well, we'll meet next Tuesday to sign
Okay.
the warrant if all goes to plan.
Who wants to reach out to Rick? Do you wanna do it?
You can, because
Okay.
my questions are already answered, so. Next up, housing trust. So Ken, the housing committee had a meeting,
Yes,
do you wanna update us on that meeting?
I sent you an outline of what we were proposing for the housing trust.
Mhm.
And it basically is to, the housing committee is looking at the housing trust as the financial arm of the housing committee. It's looking at it as the holder and the fiscally responsible part, holding all the funds in that come in for housing in Monterey. And would like to have, and the two are connected, and they're connected in that there would be, the proposal is for 4 members of the housing committee to be on the housing trust, along with 4 new people, along with the selectmen.
I thought here it says 5 members of the housing committee,
Is it?
right?
We talked about either 4 or 5, I don't know.
It says
Five. Could be either 4, okay, so it could be either 4 or 5.
That sounds good to me. I mean, I think the next question is finding the non-housing committee.
So I was telling Susan today, I mean, we've been pleasantly surprised that I've got the names of 3, 4 people that have, since people are thinking about that I'm leaving the housing. And but a couple of people come forward with that, but there's other people that have been interested in the housing anyways and have expressed interest in being on it. So I don't think we're gonna have any problem finding people.
Do you wanna serve as the board rep?
I would do that, yeah, I would do that. I'm trying to step out of that. and,
But it's a smaller,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you're already
Oh, and
familiar with it, so
the other
that-
important thing is that we also see it as not a full-time committee in terms of meeting every month. We see it meeting quarterly or when necessary. So that also, and at least one person I spoke to about it, is that they were interested in that because they don't have a lot of time to give, and that seemed to work into their time schedule. So that might be another way of looking at it.
I mean, it might be nice to find somebody with either
Definitely,
major grant writing
Definitely.
experience or
definitely, yeah, no
major,
question,
donor experience or something.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know how to find those people, but
Yeah, we have one lawyer that stepped forward and then someone who's done some housing work in Boston, so, I don't know, so it's interesting, yeah.
So, as far as next steps, is the housing committee going to receive applications for appointment? And then that's what we did to get the housing committee
Yeah.
established. The planning board received interested parties and narrowed down a list.
So we thought what we did, the idea would be to put in the next Monterey News, for the July issue, a little brief thing about what it is and all that, and ask if people are interested. And take it from there. Review, and the question is who, I think, I would feel comfortable, I know the housing committee feels that they should make the decision, but I think it'd be better if the select board actually made a decision on those people going into it.
I mean, I think it would be great for the housing committee to put forward a slate.
Oh, they will,
But I agree,
they'll let you
I
know,
think
yeah.
the select board should be, because otherwise it could look a little,
Yeah.
that gives a little distance
I
for
think,
the appointments, yeah.
So
And
it would also be good, I think we talked about last meeting, to find someone with previous career experience.
Like the career experience, or like the person that has
Yeah.
housing experience in
Yeah.
Boston, I don't know if they.
I think
What
we're gonna,
about local?
I think we're gonna be pleasantly, I really believe we're gonna be pleasantly surprised that we're gonna have more than enough to fill the slot.
I'm not,
And
concerned with
some
that,
quality
yeah.
people.
and I'm not concerned with quality even. I'm uniquely
What are you?
concerned with experience
Yeah,
doing affordable housing in southern Berkshire County.
okay.
I mean, I would have put forward the woman who does affordable housing in Pittsfield and has done it for years, but those projects are not to our scale.
Yeah.
What about Great Barrington? Are there people who've done affordable housing in Great Barrington that would be willing to serve on the housing?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think that would be invaluable to the group.
I will reach,
And not to discredit the quality of any other volunteers. But I think it's just a real benefit to have someone who's
so
done
the
it.
housing committee has has a great working relationship with Berkshire Regional, Berkshire Planning.
Does anybody else hear that?
That's me,
Okay.
someone calling.
The-
I have a trained dog, it's just a vibrating.
There's a development in Barrington that's older, but the people that did it are still around and higher, and it was more like the sort of thing
So we've
you
had,
would do because they were individual houses,
so we've had conversations with Construct,
right?
we've had conversations with Berkshire Planning, Brett. I mean, we've developed a relationship with a number of situations that we can reach out to and see if there's anybody that's interested in being on it.
Maybe someone from Construct.
Yeah.
That, I would love to see one
Would
person.
that be a potential conflict of interest if Construct was interested in doing it?
So Construct is in a different category than we're really looking at,
Right.
and so I don't think it would be a conflict of interest.
Okay,
That's a good point.
I'm just wondering, like, it was a great.
But anybody who's involved in housing,
Probably
you
have a resident.
you could use that as a problem with, but I think I think-
Well, if they've worked from the municipal side in Great Barrington, they're not a developer that the town would eventually hire.
No.
They won't, so someone who's worked on the municipal side in Great Barrington, I think would be an ideal candidate. But that said, why don't we put it in the Monterey News? Why doesn't Roger send out a town email, through the town email? And then we can receive interested parties and the housing committee can review them and put forward a slate of candidates.
So what I'm gonna do is I'll have, the housing committee will draft a thing for the Monterey News that we'll get you guys to review. And I'll get it over to Roger to send out
Sounds
for the
good.
Monterey News. Does that work?
And Ken will be the select board member. And we just need to make sure when we ultimately make appointments that 6 members other than the select board member are
President.
residents. And just, I wanna note in that paragraph and composition, it says 2 members with background, interest, and or experience that's relevant. So they don't need to necessarily have that, but I think there's a reason why we worded it.
We
Or why
wanted
it
to
is
allow
worded like that.
flexibility.
Maybe
But how does someone-
Masters in rural planning.
Someone with actual experience doing this in South County or a similar community is invaluable.
So the reality, you have to understand that Monterey is at the very bottom of the list in terms of size, of scope and that, so.
Of course.
It's just, but that's also a really interesting part, and that's what we've had good conversations with people about that, because they have to start looking at these other towns and seeing what they can do.
Exactly, because it applies even to small
Yeah.
towns, not, I mean, Egremont's kind of in the
Same
same
boat,
boat,
yeah.
right? And, I mean, it's not like the New Marlboro project's humongous. It's great that they're doing it, but like, we're not talking about 30
No.
units, right? Like,
Just little bits.
yeah.
Okay, moving on, we have firefighter retention and training costs. So I'm not a member of the fire department anymore, which means that I'm slightly less have a conflict. But
I have something really relevant that I think will change the platform of the discussion, because I'm guessing at least Ken doesn't know this, and I don't know if you do. That, the only way you can go to the firefighter academy is to have a job at a fire department, a paid job, to do the professional firefighter work. So it is a very level playing field. Every trainee at that academy already has a job. They will not be accepted to the academy unless they have a job at a firehouse.
Okay.
That's different than almost anything else I can think of, right? That's not how they do it in the police.
Mhm.
That's not how they do it in any other professional program, as far as I'm aware, right? I think because it's that kind of level playing field, if someone wanted to work in another town, they'd get a job in that town. they're not going to be preferentially hired because they have the training, because all the departments are sending candidates to that program. Does that make sense? No, how does that not make sense?
Can I finish one thing before we
Of
get
course,
any
go
further?
ahead.
Which is, I wanna finish, because a question came up recently about conflict of interest.
Right.
And I do wanna finish by saying, my father's still a volunteer, paid volunteer on call, whatever you wanna call it, firefighter with the fire department. And so there's a possibility that certain subjects could trend in the direction of having a potential financial impact on it. But I don't think the training reimbursement is of that category, but I want to put that all out there.
I mean, I don't think that's gonna affect call firefighters in any way.
No, I just wanted to put that up. So I do have but follow-up question. What happened when volunteer firefighters used to attend the academy?
So they do still have a volunteer firefighter academy. It's less intensive
Mhm.
and the scope is far,
Less time.
it's less time, but also it's less.
Yeah.
Like it's to a different level and a different standard, and you know, it's like just weekends and I'm not poo-pooing it, right? Like every bit of training is better than no training. But I don't think it's relevant to ask, first of all, I don't think anyone would do it. You're literally asking them to pay back what they were living on if they leave. And I wouldn't do it when every department that's sending trainees is going through that system and nobody else is asking for that. You said somebody gave you this, who?
They
What
have,
town?
Westfield, they have this,
Westfield.
yeah, they have this is very common, this is a common contract in Massachusetts. This is very common throughout.
You actually have, who did you talk to that told you Westfield?
Lieutenant down there in one of the fire things, I'll get you this information.
That would be great,
Yeah.
because
But there are other towns around too. I mean, it's just a safeguard. What it basically is,
understand
it's a
the
safeguard
concept.
for the monies that the town is investing in terms of firefighters. And if a firefighter decides to leave before that money is up, now we can talk about how that payback would happen and stuff, but I
Well,
think
also
it needs
it's
to be.
unenforceable, as far as I understand, right? Like you're basically, you can't, are you withholding all their pay during the entire time for 2 years?
No, they
Or
were,
you're paying them, but then you're saying they have to pay you back, but now they've left. You can't keep their paycheck.
no,
You have to go out there the next.
I think,
it's a
so
commitment.
there's a couple of important questions here. One is what is legal and best practice? And I think that's just a question for town council.
Mhm.
So I think someone ought to reach out to town council and say, what's legal and best practice?
But
Everyone wants retention, right?
of course, but
And
the
I think
question
to
is
the
this
degree
the
that
way
we
to do
can
it?
enforce retention, we should, like we talked about doing with CDLs, because it's just not fair to the town. And we used to struggle with part-time police officers to some degree, where a lot would come and get trained, and we had a good training officer that people liked, and then they would go and work in other towns, and it was kind of like all for naught. So, without deterring potential applicants or ruining applicant pool, I do think the town should do what is within common practice and the law to try to promote that we see the investment through.
I don't disagree in principle. I'm just saying if all, like, the difference is that if some towns do something and other towns don't, there might be a reason to take the money and run, right? But if all the applicants to that class have to be hired at a fire department, it's a level playing field. There's no incentive to take a job here so that we'll pay for them to be trained and then leave, right? Because it's not like no one else is paying for people's CDLs. If they do it, they get the CDL and now they can go work for the highway, DOT.
Well, one
for more money.
difference with CDL that I will admit is it is very useful in the private industry, in private sector. That said, I think the right way to do this is not to talk too much about it tonight. I think the right way to do this is to talk to town council and get something in writing about the law and to do research on other departments. And I know it's tedious and it's time consuming and it's a pain, but we can't really know what other towns do. We hear this town does this town does this, without just doing a survey,
Right,
right?
that seems fair.
Do you ask anything of your people that you're gonna send? Do you ask any long-term commitment or not? And then if we can get a survey put out, actually, can you just ask the administrators group?
Yeah.
Isn't there a small town administrators
Yeah,
group?
yeah.
And maybe another administrators group?
Even
I know
just
there's a
that.
small town, there's a big.
This doesn't,
there's-
this doesn't need to be like a rigorous
Yeah, no,
survey where
even,
there's, you're,
even
just a
5 or
question.
10 responses
Yeah.
might be
Yeah.
helpful. What I was just
do
gonna
you
say,
send
so-
your people to Firefighter 1-2 Academy? And if you do you do anything to request an agreement of retention? For 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, no years?
So Egremont just hired 2 people. One already had firefighter 1-2 and EMT, and he's getting 3113, and the other person doesn't have his EMT, so he's getting 2874 an hour. I don't know if they've already gone to, well, if he had everything, then he's firefighter and EMT, but with Trevor, I don't know if he's already got one too. But yeah, I mean, I think it's worth finding out, and if they do, what do they ask of their firefighters? I don't wanna see us wreck our applicant pool because we're asking for something nobody else asked for.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I'll stop by and talk to Chris at the fire station and see what they say about it.
And I'm not sure EMT, because the second piece of the training is the EMT, which is a little different, because the EMT
Oh,
does have a price attached to it. And in some ways is a lot more portable, right?
Well, ask the small town administrators, do you have people do you send people to EMT, do you send people to Firefighter 1-2? If you do you make any sort of agreement as far as retention or repayment?
What we know for sure is that there's a dearth of both these pools. There's not a surplus of firefighters and there's not a surplus of EMTs. There's a shortage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm inclined to say that, some kind of bonus, like a bump in pay for completing it is more likely to increase retention, because they'll not only do it, but if your salary becomes more competitive because they got additional licensing, that's an incentive. Or stay for 2
But
years.
isn't
and
this
we'll give
bare,
you a bigger bump.
this is bare minimum, right? Like, we're not saying, oh, you can also go and get this additional licensing and that's a benefit, you'll do your position better. This is like,
But when you get it, you get a pay increase, or if you get it and you stay for 2 years,
I don't think the
you
town
get
can
a
afford
boost.
any more pay increases for the fire.
I also think, Susan, this position is a little bit different than others, like, we've had people go get their CDL, maybe the labor position doesn't require CDL, but you get a little pay boost if you get your CDL, because, yeah, your foreman absolutely needs a CDL. So it's more like if you bring them on without a CDL, you're bringing them on under,
Right, and they have to.
and they have to get it, and then they get up to the normal standard wage.
Right.
This is like a requirement for these positions. Mickey?
Just, you say, they have to be an employee of a fire department. So Monterey is looking for a fireman and, I'll go to Monterey, I'll get my education. I'm gonna watch for Pittsfield. And I know they have some older people who are gonna be retiring, so they could be using this to get started. And then they can go to where they really wanna go because there's more action or whatever it is.
But most of
But
them,
that
lots
way
of
you
towns
don't
are
have,
hiring them.
that way you
We already
don't have
have that option.
anybody. They don't have a reason to stay if that job that they really want comes available.
And
I think what Susan's saying, Mickey, is that Pittsfield, to her understanding, already hires people without trainings. and puts them through
Yeah, but
that.
they may not have a position open.
Yeah, I don't, we really,
I don't know, I was just.
I don't think we can do much here, because it comes down to, we need to follow the market. We need to do basically, not exactly what other people are doing, but if we're doing something that no one else is doing, and we're requiring that much more, it's really gonna hurt the applicant pool, so. And that said, we want to protect our investment.
Right.
So let's just figure out what other people are doing, what other towns are doing. And maybe it can be some like of a broad base of emailing the small town administrators group, and maybe some of it can be calling around to Westfield and Pittsfield. And like making sure we get answers from those, because those are the jobs people might be looking at as direct competitors to monitoring. And then the second thing is like a conversation with town council. Because we've had these questions, is it legal? Can you garnish wages? Let's just get answers, right? If we can garnish the last paycheck of vacation and pay, and we can legally do that, I don't know if we can, but that would kind of be an incentive if I was an employee. Oh, my last, even if they can't come after me after the fact and sue, my last paycheck and vacation is gonna be garnished because I didn't stay for the minimum amount of time that I agreed that I would. As an employee, that made me think twice about, not fulfilling my agreement. And I don't know if it's legal, but I think it's worth just asking.
I'll talk to, town council. I'll reach out to them.
We had one employee that got their CDL about 5 years ago, and then was talking about leaving, and we reminded them that if they left, I don't know, it was about 5 years ago, but we had some kind of a
It was a verbal, like a handshake agreement.
Yeah.
in person. I
but
remember talking to Jim about it.
we did, and it was before Jim was the highway superintendent, but we did try to at least tell them, look, if you leave before, it's only been 8 months since you did your CDL, you have to pay us back. I forget how it all, we could look in our files.
Did they stay or?
He stayed for a little while, and I don't know if it ended up being within that agreed upon amount of time or not, because he didn't leave right then. And there were some other personnel matters going on with that employee, so I forget how it all panned out, but.
My bigger concern, I have less of a concern about firefighter than I do with the EMT. Because I think the EMT is more broadly portable. And it gives them a bigger weight.
Well, if we actually do the research and we figure this, I mean, we should have some interesting answers in terms of what other towns are doing.
Yeah.
Because it really is an issue in terms of being able to pay for someone's training and then having to go someplace else.
But like I said, I think that if every person at that academy has already been hired, yes, they could have the favorite place that they wanted to go, but I don't think that's gonna be the majority of people.
But because
Right,
because the academy only functions during a certain time period,
Mhm.
and towns send to that academy, if they don't have people that are going, and they need firemen, after the fact that the academy's already gone, then someone getting their firemen could go to that town. I mean, it's not necessarily a level playing field.
I think it's also worth asking the firefighter academy, just like, if you can get that document or policy in writing. Only because I've heard different things about the police academy. And I know it's changed in the last couple of years, because we always had a part-time academy and a full-time academy, and potentially others that I'm not aware of. And then they did the bridge program, and now there's no like part-time academy, as I understand it.
I will.
But I've heard
When
different
I
things.
went
Yeah.
to the graduation, to Seamus's graduation, they said what department had sent them for every single candidate.
Well, I will say, the town of Monterey was recently going to sponsor an officer, and I heard conflicting things about whether or not it's typical for police officers to be hired and paid to go to the police academy, or whether sponsoring municipalities are simply
Writes a letter saying we won't hire
sponsoring.
them.
So that, I think it's important a little bit to get to the bottom of that, because to this day, I don't have clarity on police of whether those full-time people going to police academy are getting paid by the municipality that's sponsoring them while they're there, or they're doing it unpaid. and then have a job on the other end? I don't know.
I've always had the impression it was the latter, but your point is well taken.
Well, but Monterey was gonna send someone that wasn't gonna be the case. They weren't gonna get paid for the,
When I worked in Needham, they used to hire the officer before sending them to the academy. I don't know what the exact payment agreement was, I can find out.
I think it's worth getting to the bottom of, because it's one thing to say, all right, everyone's sponsored, and it's another thing to say 80% of them
Are, and the other 20 aren't.
or by whatever the case may be, like how many people at the fire academy are being paid while they're there? And how many have a sponsor town, but they're not being paid? And if it's 100% they're being paid while they're there, we'd be crazy to not,
Yeah.
because we just wouldn't find people, like, we wouldn't wanna put ourselves in an uncompetitive situation.
Right.
It's worth getting to the bottom of.
There is also the Mass Fire Chiefs Association, which is a very active association. They just got a $2 million FEMA grant to do, I'm not sure what, it's hard to find out what, but it'd be worth checking with them, because they should have all that information maybe right on file.
Well, it should be pretty easy to just make a call to the academy directly and find out,
There you go.
because I would imagine they would know.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so Roger, do you wanna reach out to town council?
Yes, I will. Yep.
And,
And the
Town
small
administrators.
Do you want me
Small town
to,
administrators.
do you
If
want
there's
me
any
to call
town-
Pittsfield and Westfield?
What's that?
Do you want me to call Pittsfield and Westfield, or do you want me to do it?
You can call them.
if there's any other direct kind of competitors that you can think of too, Lee Lennox, right? Lee Lennox,
Yeah.
So
I think that's it.
Lee
Everything.
hires, EMTs and paramedics, I think it might be paramedics, right?
Mhm.
And if they have the firefighter thing, it's like a bonus. But you have to come in with a medical thing, because what they're running full time is the ambulance. So I don't know what they do about the firefighter part.
So Roger,
Well, I think it's worth
Asking
knowing,
Ryan, yeah,
right?
it's worth
what we
asking
need
Ryan.
is, a spreadsheet, Roger, with everything there, so that all the.
Yes, or like just making the spreadsheet will make your head.
Well, so when you send out something to small town administrators of Massachusetts, there's a response bias, right? So, and I don't know how it would even impact this particular situation, but like the towns that are constantly running behind are gonna be like responding to a small town administrator's per se. That said, I think if we can combine that with a more direct survey that's not gonna have that kind of a bias with the local area, I think that will get us a good
Yeah.
thing to look at, and we'll stay within best practice, common practice, while still hopefully protecting the town's investment. I mean, we run into it when we hire for highway or anything, like,
Mhm.
you can think you're paying a fair wage for the job, at the end of the day, you have to pay the market rate.
Well, see, I mean, I came up with this only because it was brought up at town meeting, and it's something that I hadn't even thought of, and I thought it was, wow, it's an interesting situation, and then when I made some calls around, I found out that in fact, other towns do this, and I'll get a list, I have a list at home.
I would like to see the list of towns.
Well, can you see, like, if you find a town that does it, get it in writing from them and their policy, or whatever it may be, right? Cause that's gonna be helpful too. It's one thing to say, and another thing to see in writing.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay, great. I think that we're gonna do more research and come back.
Sounds good.
Second, or the next item, the Stedman Pond name change, so there's a letter of support.
I had sent a.
Oh, it's an email.
It's an email, and I sent that around for you guys to look at.
It looks fine to me.
Okay. That's, I don't know if you dug down into the rest of the email, I just forwarded Kip stuff.
Yeah.
They were just like, send us an email.
Yeah, I did read some of that.
Yeah, so I'll just take this and put it back into that email and send it.
I just do think it's important to put out there, because some people may say, why is the town in support of Hume renaming their pond to Hume Pond? It seems like not necessarily in the public interest, but I think it is truly a public safety issue. That could have grave consequences, and we need to resolve that public safety issue.
I'm just waiting for the Stedman family to come forward that no one knows about, but they're coming.
They have to
What I wanna know is why
Yeah,
there's two
right.
Stedman ponds to begin with.
I assume, and you'd have to go back at old maps, but I assume it's because that was part of Sanesfield. So I bet they named it Stedman Pond when there weren't two Stedman Ponds in Monterey, because one was in Monterey and one was in Sanesfield.
Even so, if I lived in a neighboring town, I would have named my pond something different than the pond in the
Yes,
next
but
town.
Norman
but-
Stedman and Robert Stedman didn't.
It's very common.
I
I've
did
been
one
doing-
Robert pond and
But I've been doing a little bit of traveling recently, and many towns right next to each other have the same name of road. Or
Main
pond.
Street, you mean like that?
Yeah, like Main Road, or, Oak Street or
Yeah.
something. And then but you figure it's Oak Street Monterey versus Oak Street Carrington. And all of a sudden, we annex another town,
And there's 2 Oak Streets.
and there's 2 Oak Streets.
So when I lived in Minnesota, they have a really oddly like constructed town. And Minneapolis and St. Paul both, but especially Minneapolis. So like pick an address, there's an east, a west, a north, and a south, because it's like numbered. So it's 8th Street North, 8th Street South, 8th Street. Right, like the potential
Well,
for
you know,
complete disaster is so high.
You know, DC.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing, right? 4 quadrants and.
But at least most of those are named, and typically any given road is only in 2 of them.
Post office.
Not at all.
Yeah, but there's.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw one of the ones with numbers, I'm like, I'm just calling. I make sure to give me directions, because that was before GPS, but still.
Make it Jervis.
Yeah, I mean, I fully understand needing to change the name, and there are still Stedman's relatives in this town. And, grandmother of the fire chief, I think, or great grandmother was Stedman. Anyway, I know we has to be changed, because having 2 in the same town is just ridiculous. And I understand that Hume would make sense, because that would really put people there. I can see it being a sore point with a lot of people, and why name a pond after some people who have only been here for a very short time? You know, my street isn't named after me, and I've been there for a
It
long
will be,
time.
Becky.
No, when I'm gone though, not, I'm still here. You know, and just thinking about it, actually, when I was typing this schedule up, and I'm going like, that really hits me a little wrong. And Hume did have some problems in this town with people and the things they felt they could do because of who they are. But there were actually, that area was already Christian camps, name it the Keswick Pond, after Keswick Christian camp.
Wasn't it Hepzibah Heights?
Yeah.
So-
Which Waiver one?
So Mickey, I understand, and in some ways that resonates with me, because this
I
town
mean,
has
if you're gonna
centuries,
be there forever,
of history, right?
Yeah.
But also, I understand the naming thing, whether it's ponds or roads or whatever it may be, to be so arbitrary that to name it Hume, yeah, now it seems short-sighted, and maybe in 50 years, it will be, can't Mickey Jervis, but then it refers to that part of history. There's a town report from either the 80s or 90s where Corshire Road was named 3 different names in one town report by the select board and the highway department, and I think the police chief. One person called it Corshire Road, one person called it Blue Hill Road, a continuation, and one person called it Fen Road
yeah, that makes sense.
because of the Fenn family,
Yeah.
Sheldon Fenn, which is my middle
might
name,
have been-
Sheldon.
Yes, I know that it is.
So,
But it might have been the Fenn Brown Road, because Brownsville's right.
it was,
across
and
the
now it's
street.
Corshire Road, so I hear you and I understand, but at the end of the day, I'm just appreciative that Hume is taking the initiative to actually change the name. We reached out to both DNRC and Hume several years ago, and really, it sounds like the ball was gonna be dropped entirely, so it's nice for this to come full circle. And I think, yeah, they've been there for 10 years, and there was, I went to Keswick when I was a kid, and other people went to Hepzibah Heights, and there's other things that have happened on that hill, but none stick out to me that I could strongly pushed for. I mean, Keswick was here and it left, and I'm sure there were,
Yeah, but it was here for like 50 years, is that a thing?
yeah.
You know, both of
So-
those camps were here for long, long times. Excuse me, it just,
Well, the other way you could look at it, Vicky, is that Hume has decided that they're gonna be here for a long time.
they're a California group.
I don't know, I think they've found their roots in New
I don't
England.
know. Anyway, that was just my thoughts.
I mean, I just feel like the important thing is that it's not.
It has to
the
be
same
changed.
thing.
It has to be
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah, and if they're willing to go forward and try to get a name change, we're not hearing a peep from the NRC. I'm willing to go along with whatever name it is, because what I don't want to happen is that with all the people going through there, there's an emergency call and they go to the wrong place. That,
Oh,
like,
that's-
name it, I don't care what you name it, just name it something else. Because that's what
So there
scares
is a
me.
vote on this or?
And let's
or else?
face it, they're a lot more likely to have people in that lake than Stedman.
Oh, yeah,
All right, I'll move that we approve the letter of support for changing the name of Stedman Pond.
Second,
Second,
Is there any other discussion? We'll call a vote.
yes.
yes.
Yes, so that's unanimous vote, and Roger will send out the email. Next up is the Berkshire Trails Camp cabin replacement comments, so if we have no comments, I'll just get back to the planning board and say we have no comments.
I mean, there's nothing that would trigger a ZBA thing, so.
Okay, sounds good. The fire company signed waiver request for the month leading up to the stake roast, June 25th to July 25th. We have to, per the zoning bylaws, approve the oversized signs.
Yep, 6.2.7, signs not requiring permits. Signs announcing public events sponsored by civic or social organizations to be displayed for not more than 30 days prior to the event. The select board may grant size waivers for these temporary signs.
I'll move, we grant them a size waiver.
I'll second the motion. Any other discussion? We'll call a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that carries unanimous.
Yeah, updates.
Sandusfield Road is, pretty much on time now. They're saying it could be upwards of 2 to 3 weeks before it's done. They have laid down, they put in all the culverts. They did have, there was a concern by the, water department because the culverts now are 2 feet higher. So there was a concern there'd be more airspace underneath the pipe that goes across there. So the water company went out and bought some, basically some styrofoam boarding to wrap around it, which they'll then pour in some rock around it to give some more insulation. They had started to put the head wall in on Thursday, the upstream head wall. They ran into some issues. That issue was this. They ran into quartz. And so, in talking to the foreman, he said, so they brought a crane in on Thursday because they were going to they were gonna put the head wall in on Thursday because they were gonna just dig it all out and drop it in. And so they brought the crane in, they started digging, they ran into that, they started hammering it on Thursday, and yesterday they hadn't finished yet. So they still had a section about 3.5 feet high or so, and about 2 feet across, 2 feet out, that they still had to get through.
And the problem was the hardness?
The hardness. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, they said, he said normally if it was just normal dirt and rock,
But amazing.
it would have taken them about a day to get through it, and they were still banging away at it. They just, when we had a meeting on Monday, they had just finished clearing out the bottom part underneath where it'll settle in.
So by the end of the month, they're finished.
Yeah, he said it'd be at the most 3 weeks, so they'll be done, yeah, well before the end of the month, so, yep. And I wanted to talk about, or ask about having another Monterey Otis meeting like we had a month ago, before the annual town meeting with Otis, fire, ambulance, a couple of their select board members, same thing on our side, just to have another one, maybe sometime this month to get started, to kind of continue the conversation. I'll reach out to Brandy over there, the town administrator. I did talk to the select board member from Otis who works up at the transfer station here, and he thought it was a good idea to continue the conversation. So if it's all right with you guys, I'll reach out.
One thing I don't know why it's taken 5 years to understand this. Well, we were often meeting weekly. To the extent that people on this board kind of set aside Tuesday evenings for the select board, potentially if we wanna add in other meetings, the off week from our Monterey select board meetings is a good way to just fit that in, and I don't know what their, meeting date is, but I know a lot of towns are Monday. So maybe it works for them, and maybe their meeting's Tuesday and we'll do it at their meeting, but I feel like, okay, so if we look at our schedule coming up. We have a very short meeting next Tuesday, the 9th, to sign a warrant, with hopefully not much else on the agenda. We have a full meeting on the 16th of June, Tuesday, the 16th of June. And I would expect we'll meet on Tuesday, the 30th of June. So like the 23rd of June or the 7th of July are potential options.
I'll reach out, I just think it's worthwhile to continue the conversation. Just to see how things are moving along.
And what questions need to be asked or answered or whatever.
So is there a summary of the meetings?
I have to talk to Frank, because Frank took that, recorded it on his phone. So I have to
Okay.
get in touch with him and pull it off.
Do we not have minutes for that
I
meeting?
don't have minutes for it at this point in time, yeah. So
And it was a posted select board meeting?
Yes, yeah, so I have to get some minutes.
And what was the date of that?
That was a
That's
while
up
back.
here, correct?
Yeah. I forget when it was.
April 9th? It was supposed to be March 5th, but then they had that big accident.
Oh, yeah. I'll get in touch with Frank and I'll get some minutes put together for it. Was it April 9th? Oh, yeah.
That's what's
yeah.
on my calendar,
Yep.
so.
Anything else,
I
Roger?
forgot about it. No, that's it.
Any unanticipated business from the board members? I have a little bit. I have one more thing. So the Concom agent is gone.
Yeah.
But I saw a really good advertisement put out by the chairs, and I heard that they have some applicants. There's an open seat on the Conservation Commission, and there were 2 people who were interested, and I reached out to both of them to see if they're still interested, and I didn't hear back. Have you heard anything from Shannon or Kit? No.
Did Shannon go to one of the meetings? I saw.
No, I heard that Kit went to part of one.
And withdrew his interest.
Oh, really?
For much the same reason that the agent went.
Okay, because I reached out to Kit and I didn't hear back, so I didn't know where the people are, but that's good to know. And we,
Uncomfortable workplace
yeah,
would be the way to phrase it.
So I have to say that when I left the select board the last time, one of the last things I did was exactly what you're talking about. I had a meeting with certain members of the Conservation Commission to talk about an uncomfortable workplace. So it's interesting.
yeah, if we want to deal
Never
with
just
it,
one member.
if we want to deal with it at the select board level, it would definitely need to be an executive session, as I understand it. But maybe there's other ways that we can address the difficulty.
HR,
Wait a minute, it's a town, it's a select board appointed committee.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
I
true.
don't know how to address it, but I see what the problem is, and
it's a hard one.
it's very hard.
I wonder if Shannon's still interested. I just hadn't heard from her and I don't think she made it to the meeting, so,
I didn't see her in the last meeting,
Yeah.
so.
but I only let her know about the meeting a couple of days in advance, so it's possible she just didn't make it. So I will follow up with her. I didn't realize Kit had withdrawn. So, okay, that it helps clear that up. But moving on, we have the appointment list of our fiscal year appointments, and I'm wondering, I just want some input from the board on how we should do this, because what is it now, Ben? I've probably done it 2 years in a row, and I'm happy to do it again.
What, the list?
Yeah. Maybe happy is the wrong word.
Really?
I'll do it again, but I'm not doing it next year, that's for sure. So I don't know if there's a way,
Can we get town clerk involved? in
What
it
are you
somehow?
what are you talking about?
so every year in June, we appoint people starting July 1
Right,
for 1, 2,
Oh,
3-year
okay,
terms.
okay.
Vacant positions,
Yeah.
it's kind of really a huge pain, because you have to know that, so maybe we could involve the town clerk, that's a good idea. I don't think the town clerk would reach out to individual people, that's definitely a select board responsibility to say, your term's expiring on the Concom,
But
do you wanna
just
re-up? for 2
flag
years?"
the ones that are.
But you
Well,
just,
wouldn't it be the responsibility of the chair of each of the committees?
so,
Why do we take that on? I mean, why-
well, somebody needs to reach out to the committees and say, you have these two, that is often what I do, Ken. I say, to the housing committee, these are the 7 people on your roster, they're 1-year appointments, they're all expiring June 30th. Can you let me know who wants to be appointed or not?
Yeah.
Some departments are a lot more complicated, the building department has 1, 2, and 3-year appointments. Many of them are off cycle, and many of them are dictated by Mass General Law, so then it's trying to figure out what the current lists are. Part of the difficulty is we've cycled through, and no fault to many of their own, but we've had a number of different town clerks with a number of different ways of keeping tracks of appointments, and different select boards and town administrators that have had different methods of letting the town clerk know of appointments.
Well, we have a town clerk who is planning to stay. We have a town administrator who is planning to stay.
Well, for at least one more.
I would suggest that Roger get together with the town clerk and ask the question, how can we make this work? As a first step.
So
Yeah,
it's
rather
well,
than-
to be totally honest with you, Ken, part of the problem is, 2 years ago, was it 2 or 3 years ago? 2 years ago? I think Roger was near the town
Yeah, I
administrator.
think we just sort of took it over, right?
Well, I was just like, I'm just gonna do this because it's a pain and it's complicated, we don't have a good system.
And we also had,
Well, I'm saying,
we
what
also
I'm
had
saying
people
is
that weren't
develop
always
one.
June 3rd, July 1.
Oh, yes, that made it,
But
That's
that
what you-
was harder, right?
That's what you straightened out over the
But this
past
is the
couple
time to
years.
develop one. I mean, this is the ideal time to
so
develop
that's
one.
why we're here today, talking about a system.
And I'm also thinking ahead. So
But I
don't
think it
want
would be a
I don't
really
want
good
to-
idea to have a
That would be a good
conversation with the
idea.
clerk to see if we can come
Well,
up with a consistent.
it can't just be the clerk, so I think it needs to look something like this. I will reach out to the clerk, and by the way, I feel so bad starting in June, that if she doesn't have it ready, I'll just kind of do that portion of it this year. But I think it's an email or reaching out to the town clerk and saying, can we please have an updated list of all up-to-date appointments? And then, can you please flag any positions that will expire on or before June 30th of this year, or shortly thereafter? And then it comes to, the ball is in our court, and Roger reaches out to those people that are expiring, or the chairs of the boards, depending on what makes more sense. If there's 2 people expiring from the Concom and you know both of them, I would just reach out to them. If it's the housing committee and they're 1-year appointments and they're all coming due, I would just reach out to Ken and Jenny Brown and say, can you please do the work, or figure out who wants to be re-upped or not?
We actually talked about this at the last meeting, so yeah, but I think the responsibility lies more with Roger and with the chairs of the different committees than with us.
In
And I-
theory, yes, but the reality of the different committees is that some committees will toe the
Will do
line
it,
and
some
others will drop
yeah,
the ball. And at the end of the day, the select board is responsible for
Yeah,
appointing. So
No problem with that.
someone has to be
But I think we
minded
should,
as
I
to
think we
I've
should really
never-
concentrate on setting up a system now.
I've never really had a committee drop the ball. What I have had is, hey, we're meeting in 3 weeks. can we talk about it then and get back to you?
Right. But
Which
would
if
they
you-
have done that if you hadn't emailed them to ask them?
Oh, absolutely not, no.
Right, that's,
No.
and he's talking about it should be an automatic system where they do it.
don't
I don't think that's
think,
gonna
so.
happen.
I don't think that's realistic.
No, I'm not
because-
saying that,
Okay.
I'm just saying that I think that the we trigger it, then the responsibility is
that's
with
fair.
the chairs
chairs.
and with Roger,
So here's what I'm
and the
gonna do,
clerk,
here's what I'm gonna do. Cause we should really vote on
only
this
the beginning, Roger.
in 2 weeks if possible, but more likely, we'll be voting on it in 4 weeks on the 30th. Here's what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to write it out, a system, and reach out to the town clerk and say, is this something that you can do this week? And if not, I'm just gonna do it. It's too late, I should have thought of this a month ago.
She's in training this week,
Okay, I'm gonna do it.
so you could reach out to her. She is looking at her emails, but she's.
What I'll probably just do is the town clerk's initial portion that we're hoping to assign to the town clerk. And then I will send to you, and then you will do the next step of the process, which is rightfully probably yours. Okay,
Which is reaching out to the chairs.
which is reaching out to the chair. I will say, it just helps to know a good portion of the people, because sometimes it makes sense to reach out to the chairs, and if Catherine Roberts is the only member of the Concom that's up, you can just stop her in town hall and ask. That will save a headache of saying to Dave and Don, can you check with Catherine about? So, okay, I'll try to make a system.
It's a good idea.
And then loop back, when the clerk gets back, to go over it with her so that she's prepared for next year.
Next year. right.
Okay, well, that brings up the next step of the process. Roger, do you think that you and or Annabelle have time to send out the appointment letters
When you need them sent out?
as soon as possible after the appointments, particularly if we're doing the appointments? June 30th?
Yeah, we get some time.
That's not a particularly difficult task, but it is time consuming. The way that I've been doing it, and maybe,
But you can email them, right?
yeah. The way that it's more the generation that's not particularly fast, and maybe you know of a program that could make it
I can.
Should be.
faster, but
If you just give me names, I can put
Yeah.
it together. Because do you put names and addresses, or you just put their names on it
well, you gotta put the name
and the,
and the office,
And the date,
And the
when
date.
their thing expires, how many years.
Yeah, we can-
and you have to know if it's a multi-member body or not. Because if you're not part of a multi-member body, you don't need to do open meeting law training, and we used to send
Who's
Who's
on
not-
it?
who's not
Multi-media? Oh, I guess the building people?
building, if you're the fire inspector if you're a firefighter,
Right.
if you're, if you were at the transfer station. And that's a hiring thing, that's not gonna come up in the appointment list, but there's plenty of if you look, where's the town report?
There's one right there.
I only bring this up because I don't wanna just do it this year and then it comes next year and then.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good thing.
If there's a set standard of, points like name, department, length of service, that sort of thing, whatever, that's easy to put together in a letter.
So if you look here, I mean, these are all individual positions, none of which would be multi-member bodies, as well as these.
Right.
And then this is all multi-member bodies. So most of these people will get the open meeting law disclaimer, except if you're an agent of a body. Election workers don't need the open meeting law disclaimer, nor do fire or police. So, it's not to be nitpicky, we used to send these out, and then, firefighters would say, I need to do the open meeting law training. And then some would do it, and it was kind of a mess. So all to say, it's kind of in the details here, because it's not that complicated, but you need a little decision tree of, is this appointed or elected?
It was like a little checkbox, and then,
Yeah.
even if it's on the whole list, if the checkbox says it does or doesn't.
Maybe it's a good task for Anna. So I will, unfortunately, it's more time sensitive than I wish it was, but it is.
I have to put together a list of, and do the updates for the updates on the hourly wages.
Yes,
I have to do that as well.
by the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
Before for the treasurer.
Yeah.
So, little note on that, at times, it used to be everyone got a letter saying, here's your wage.
Yeah.
And then we didn't do it, and I wonder if it's worth doing.
I was planning on doing it just by email.
Yeah.
Because I have.
No, by email's fine, but I think it's worth doing, so
Giving
that
everybody written notice. of
written
what it is.
notice
I
of
agree.
what your
Yeah, I think it's.
rate of pay is, and maybe even instructions, like, if you're a stipended elected official, you could write who's gonna be responsible for putting in the time, because we've had confusion about that before.
Yeah.
I think the board of assessors don't put in their own time, but I think our select board members not supposed to, or you do it,
So what I do with anybody who gets paid a stipend is
is you check.
I actually go through the entire year and put it in at usually the second week of the first full payroll of a month.
Yeah.
So I take whatever you guys are getting paid, divide it by 12, and then I just go in and I plop it in there, so it's
Hey,
there.
wait a minute, whoa, we get paid?
Well, except for Ken.
Oh, I knew it.
Ken has to pay us.
Thank you, Lee.
Is there an amendment at the annual town meeting? Yeah, so I do that with everybody, like for anybody who has a stipend, so whether it's the animal inspector or whoever, and Don Clausen actually does it for the assessors.
I've never loved that system, but I can't think of a better one. And it's no fault of anyone who's using it, it's just,
The only other option is to,
do it by hand.
well, do by hand, or in a situation like with the stipends, my understanding is that an elected official is due their annual stipend at the beginning of the year.
Not due, they can take
They
it.
could take it.
They
That's
can
right,
take it,
if they
not
want it.
And
That's
that's
the only
not
other
a great
option,
system.
But that's just like you give it to them and then you.
It's not a great system, because look, when Ken took over for Frank, I was thinking more on that question he asked me. I'm like, it was for the fiscal year, yeah, I know.
It's always been like that.
Yeah, but I think now you get paid the last 2 months of the,
Yeah, it's always been
but it's
like
a
that.
difficult
Yeah.
thing. So anyway, all that said, I'm gonna write up a plan and get it over to you.
Yep.
And, I'll be in touch with the town clerk, and next year, hopefully, it will be the town clerk and the town administrator, working on it. Oh, end of year financials, so are we gonna have anything soon?
Yes, I'm getting, I talked to Eric and Nicole on last Thursday, and they're gonna be sending out all that information
To departments.
to departments. If
But are
there's anything,
we-
I'll pass it out to the departments.
Are we starting to hit deficits where we need to do reserve fund transfers and or?
I'm looking at it this week, because I need to reach out to the finance committee to make sure they're scheduling meetings. Just to
Yeah.
make sure they have meetings set for any reserve fund transfers, those sorts of things.
So in the past, sometimes we've used a lot of interdepartmental transfers, and sometimes last year, I think we only did reserve fund transfers.
Yeah.
Does anyone have a preference? Okay, so the reserve fund transfers, we won't see. Which is fine.
Are there a lot of, how many accounts are?
Could you have that
Close
information for us at our next meeting?
Yeah.
Which is next Tuesday?
Yeah,
But what I'm
Just so that where it's available. to us.
But what I'm letting you know is, if it's reserve fund transfers, we're not gonna see it at all.
Which is fine, but what I'm sort of saying is, if it's 2, it's one thing, if there's 30, that
Yeah.
seems like it's a failure that we ought to know.
Well, I also will say, just about every year I've done this, we've done somewhere between 10 and 25.
Yeah.
30 I wouldn't even be that concerned.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
because
Per se.
sometimes
It
it's like
depends what the 30 are.
$100.
right.
Yeah, this is kind of what happens when you
Right.
get those few that.
Well, Medicare, we must be crazy.
There's-
How are we paying Medicare bills?
Well, we're working on that. Don't worry. It's getting taken care of.
Well, and unemployment insurance.
Yeah, it's, that's gonna be one.
Are they
we're gonna have to
in
do.
a deficit right now?
I think the unemployment insurance is, yeah.
We just underfunded it for 2026.
Actually, it's really, I think it's important that we see all this, because I think given some of the questions raised at town meeting and stuff, let's look at, well, let's make sure that we're aware of what's going on.
That's
So,
that
and
was
we
kind
could just make a stipulation that all reserve fund transfers
Yeah, we just.
come to the select board anyway.
Yeah.
But not that we have to approve them, because legally that's not how it works, but we can approve the request, I mean,
No, I was thinking that the transfers were in the $100 to $200 range.
no, we are under budgeted Medicare and unemployment insurance by probably 10 to 20,000.
Something like that. I have to go back to-
So, which brings up another point. I think it's very useful, every reserve fund or interdepartmental request that comes across our desk to really pay attention, because for 5 years now or something, the unemployment spiked out of the blue because we had 2 claims.
Right.
The Medicare, I remember, in hindsight, I remember doing them. It's just a percentage of your total payroll, and just, okay, we've had Medicare, I don't know why that is, but we have to pay more money, of course we have to pay the Medicare bill. But in hindsight, had we identified that, we would have stayed on top of it year over year. So why don't we follow the pretty clean practice of just doing reserve fund transfers, as long as there's enough in it to cover all these things, because it's better than finding some account that has some.
But I still like to see
But they all
the
come
list of
here.
what was short and by how much.
Yeah, and the accountant, that's what his recommendation is, always go through the reserve fund transfers first.
Right.
You use that 30,000.
But one thing has changed with the accountants significantly, and honestly, it wasn't when we changed, it was when we changed our direct contact, because the accountants wouldn't let us pay a bill for an underfunded account.
Right, well, I know what you mean, we've had this conversation.
Well, no, different conversation, because we just talk about sub-accounts.
Yeah.
But unemployment insurance and Medicare are just, they're not a sub-account of anything.
No, I know, that's,
So how have we been able to pay when those accounts are in a deficit? Or should we be able to?
we can.
Okay.
I'm not certain exactly of the legal reasons why, but we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit problematic.
But I think part of you saying that we do, there should be some way that we understand that that's being done.
Well, we will at the end of the year.
Oh.
But
I
we're
think
not
the
made aware
problem
of it
is-
in the minutes.
I think the problem is, the way it used to be was, I mean, you forget the sub-account account discussion, which I think is an important discussion still to be had. But, and it's nitpicky because other towns don't operate like that. But when unemployment insurance or Medicare, we're running into a deficit, we just need to know. I mean, those accounts you just have to pay, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we're burning down the,
No, I agree, you have to pay,
Memorial
but
Day.
I'm just saying that I'd like to know that that's happening.
maybe I'll clarify with Eric, get to the bottom of it. I'll CC you, because I just wanna know what happened. Because remember, we've had changed people within this firm,
Yeah, the people I've been working with are the ones that,
not many since you've been here, but
yeah, it must have been beforehand.
do you remember Lisa Kelly?
No.
Okay, yeah. They've had different ways, within the same firm, very different ways of doing it, and I just wanna get to the bottom of it. Okay.
So that it's consistent.
And then the last thing, just on end of year financial, is special article carry forwards will come to the board. And encumbrances, actually. So all special article carry forwards and encumbrances.
So far, we haven't had any encumbrances.
Yeah.
We haven't had anything that looks like it's gonna be encumbrance, because we've gotten all invoices. And I don't have any late invoices that people are looking for at this point.
Did we get a card for the STM?
We can, we're gonna play by ear.
Okay, you were gonna reach out to her and talk to see if she's available.
She knew the date, I already told her the date,
Okay.
but the date's now changed.
Right.
again, I think we were waiting to hear the budget.
Yeah.
But whether it was necessary to have her or not, but
Yeah.
if there's gonna be a little dog and pony show by the school department, it's probably a good
It
idea
would
to
be
have
a
her.
good idea
Okay,
if you
yeah,
can get it.
I'll let her know. Maybe I'll see if we can work out a deal on the travel time. Or the minimum,
Where's she from?
one or the
Business?
other. New. East. It's just between travel time and minimum,
Ting, ting,
Yes.
yeah.
it's an accessibility thing, so, and I understand that side of things. And it's
there are
almost,
quite a
I feel
few
terrible
people
even
Debating.
even
yeah.
debating it,
I got you.
except it's very expensive.
Yeah.
We could almost have AI,
Seriously,
put
good.
it up.
You could,
Wouldn't be perfect, but neither is she. She's very good, but she's not perfect.
it's all just about hearing it. You have to have microphones or speakers or something so we could hear it.
Okay. Sorry, I had a lot of it.
They were important.
So this is, do I remember that there's a month period between the election and when you get a chance to resign without?
Sorry, you're stuck, dude. We're not letting you get out. All right, are we doing minutes?
Yes.
Was Susan the only one that sent?
Yeah, I did not.
I thought the minutes were great. I agreed with what Susan said.
I mean, they were pretty minor.
Can I look at your thing? I logged on my email, hopefully because John Shannon's setting up new emails.
John Shannon is setting up new emails, because I'm all locked out too.
So, let's see. That's the
That's
first
great.
one.
That's the good news. That is good
I
news.
should,
So
I should have
Ken's
said
gonna
that.
get an email and
Yeah,
Chris.
I've never
will
been
get an email?
so happy locked out my email.
I should have mentioned that. I should have mentioned that.
That'd be the only time that you're ever happy like that.
I didn't want to say anything in case it all fell apart again.
Oh, it fell apart with the announcement that was there.
Yeah. Yeah. We had to kind of, usually it would start over.
I didn't sleep last night. They were great.
Great.
The thing, I just, because I didn't know on the approval of minutes, because Ken abstained, I didn't know if I needed to say why it was just 2-0. Like, it says.
I wasn't at
He wasn't.
that meeting.
So it just says a motion was made, seconded and voted 2-0 to approve, 2-0 to approve his
On both
review.
of them.
If that's all right, I don't know if there's any, because.
Legally,
It's because it says Ken's here, I don't know,
Uh,
I didn't know if I should say.
I mean, legally, it's not executive session. I don't even know if we have to say the vote count. We can just say the motion carried.
Gary,
But if we say 2-0, maybe it's worth saying Ken abstained from voting on the meeting minutes because he wasn't there.
I'll add that, is that okay?
Yeah.
I'll just add that.
I
I just wasn't certain when I put it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any harm in putting it in. It may not be required, but there's no.
Well, a thing came up recently of why there was a 2-0 vote on the ambulance.
Right.
And so. Okay, all right. Motion to approve you stayed through minutes, Mickey. You must have something important. Motion to approve the May 19th minutes as amended.
Second,
We'll call a vote.
yes.
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 So those are approved unanimously. Okay, Mickey Jervis.
Okay, just want to confirm the official name of the employee manual, so I don't put it in contracts in the wrong place. Wrong word, it
I
is
think we decided, based on the minutes, we did like
Town of
the,
Monterey
Town of
Employee
Monterey.
Manual.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure it was still the same this week as it was.
it's catchy.
Yes.
I mean, it really is catchy. I mean.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments and questions from the public?
Yeah.
I do see a couple people online, but I don't see any hands up or anything.
Oh, we have people online. Yeah.
Well, Gillian, this will give you the training so that when he retires, we can get you to be on the board.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Snicker, snicker, snicker. I'll motion to
I'll
adjourn.
second.
We'll call a vote.
Yes.
Yes, that's a unanimous vote to adjourn the meeting at 7:39 PM.
Woo-hoo, 20 minutes
No, I didn't bring this up during the meeting
early.
because I didn't know if it was appropriate.